What's up, guys? So in this particular video we'll be discussing about Bhutan in December 2025, what you should be expecting in terms of the weather, the road condition, the places that you should be visiting, the crowd that you can be expecting, the hotel rates, what are the do's and don'ts of Bhutan in the month of December, overall what you should be packing, and most of all, will there be snow and snowfall in Bhutan for the month of December. So now, starting off with the weather, you can expect it to be cold in Bhutan throughout the month of December. Remember that December is peak winter in Bhutan, so you can expect the temperature in the daytime to range anywhere between, I would say, 7 degrees to 12 degrees. Now that depends entirely on where you are. Places like Punakha will be warmer, while places like Thimphu and Paro will be colder. If you're going to more remote places like Pobjika and Ha Valley, it's going to be extremely cold over there in the daytime also. The nighttime temperature in places like Thimphu and Paro will drop to anywhere between -3 to 0, while in places like Punakha it will be warmer, where you can expect the temperature to be anywhere between 7 to 10 degrees. Now, when it comes to rainfall and snowfall, there might be a little bit of rain. In case it doesn't snow, it's going to be drizzling and raining. But for those who want snowfall, going after the 15th of December is a good time. You will definitely get snowfall at Dochula Pass and maybe in places like Ha Valley and maybe in Pobjika. But snowfall is possible in even Chelela Pass, but you have to go after the 15th of December, because that's when it really starts snowing. Now, when it comes to the road condition, the roads are extremely well made around Bhutan, and no matter where you're traveling, you wouldn't really have any hindrance in the month of December, because you'll have a local guide with you and you will have a driver, so two people who will be there who are locals and can navigate even through roads which, even if there is snow, they'll be able to get you through without any stress. Now, when it comes to the crowd, December is peak season for a lot of Indian tourists to go there who want to experience winter. So you will get a lot of Indian crowd in Bhutan, mostly in the tourist circuit of Phuntsiling, Paro, Thimphu and Punakha. So when you're planning your trip in Bhutan, be sure that to go in the first half if you really want a quiet and a peaceful Bhutan experience. If you're going in the second half, you'll get plenty of crowd from India who are coming there. Now, when it comes to the hotel rates will be at its full maximum capacity in the second half of December, because that's Christmas holidays all over. So if you're planning on traveling in the second half, be prepared to spend a lot of money on your rooms. You will not really get any kind of discount. Even your flights will be costly. So make sure that you've already booked your flights in advance. If you haven't, go ahead and book your flight or postpone your trip before it goes out of balance. Now, accommodation in Bhutan is when it comes to the vibe in Bhutan in December, it's a very, very good vibe, because the weather is cold, and with that it's the Christmas festival season in Bhutan. So by default, even though Bhutan is not a Christmas celebrating country, but the Christmas feel is all over. Now, when it comes to the places that you should be visiting, by default you should definitely be staying at least a couple of nights in Paro and in Thimphu. You can do a day trip to Punakha. If you want a bit offbeat experience, you can definitely visit Ha Valley and Pobjika. Either of the two places is definitely worth a visit. Staying in one of them will really give you an experience of a lifetime. But now remember that Pobjika and Ha Valley will cost you a lot more, because these are places which are away from where the entire tourist crowd is and where people go to. So by default, just make sure that you have a bigger group, because the more the number of people, the cheaper will be the cost of your trip to these places. And now the final thing about Ha Valley and Pobjika is the fact that homestays are the most preferred way of staying over there. A lot of people look for luxury options in Bhutan, but that's not really the vibe in Bhutan. The vibe is in staying in these homestays in Pobjika and Ha Valley. Now, when it comes to what you should be packing, you should definitely be packing, I would say, winter wear for Bhutan, because without winter wear, you're going to really struggle in Bhutan. Because by default, wherever you go in Bhutan, you need your winter clothing over there. The reason is because it's going to be cold. You need good walking shoes along with your, I would say, you would need good winter shoes in the form of good boots. If you have, you definitely need your warm woolen clothes, you need UV protected sunglasses, you need your sunscreen, and you need your lip balm because the weather is dry. And with the weather being dry, what really happens is that you end up having a bad vibe with your lips starting to bleed, and that would be really a hazardous experience. So personally, make sure that you have your basics covered before you go to Bhutan. Remember that it is not advisable to take your I would say international roaming to Bhutan because that would be really really expensive. A more preferred option would be for you to just take a local SIM over there and use that, because that's a much more sensible way of getting to Bhutan. Because Tashi SIM works very very well over there, and you'll get excellent 4G network around Bhutan. Most places have Wi-Fi, so that's not really going to be an issue. But now when it comes to the biggest challenge in Bhutan is money, because Indian debit and credit cards do not work there. So if you're someone who's traveling from India and your credit card claims to be international, it is international, but it will not work in Nepal and Bhutan if you read the backside. So by default, you need to carry cash. The best way to get to Bhutan is to carry cash in hundreds and 200s, because 500s again are not accepted in Bhutan. So you either do that or you ask your travel agent to hook you up with money in Bhutan when you need it, and you can then transfer it to your agency, who will then transfer it to the guide, who will be your assistant to get money. And at the same time, if you have maybe dollars or euros, you can get that out and you can exchange it in Bhutan and get local currency, if that's another alternative around it. Even if you're going for an all meals package in Bhutan, you will still need, I would say, for a 1 week trip, minimum 10,000 rupees per person, because if you want to buy any souvenirs for entry fee and most of all for shopping, Bhutan has a lot of souvenirs that you can buy, and at the same time, there are plenty of good things that you can get in Bhutan. Avoid going for an all meals plan in Bhutan, because the biggest challenge of an all meals plan is that you avoid and you miss out on the local experience that you can have in Bhutan in the form of the local cafes, which are karaoke cafes over there. Now, is it a good time to be going to Bhutan in December? If you can get a good deal on the flights, it's definitely a good time. If you do not get a good deal on the flights, then it's a bad time, because flights to Bagdogra will generally be very costly in the month of December. And if you are planning on taking the train to Siliguri, that's another option, but that entirely depends on how far you are from Siliguri. You can always look up the internet and check for deals for flights, but the earlier you book, the better it is. Now, when it comes to the places that you should definitely not skip in Bhutan, it is one is Tiger Monastery in Bhutan, which is in Paro, which is a small trek of 5 kilometers, but it is a must visit place. It's one of the best experiences that you will have. But remember, you cannot take any photographs inside the monastery, so you will have to deposit your phone. Another important note for Bhutan in December is the fact that if you are someone who's planning a trip and are confused about how to go about it, we do have trips to Bhutan. You can click on the link in the description and you'll get all the details related to our trip to Bhutan in December. And if you have any personal queries about your own personal trip to Bhutan, then you will need to, I would say, leave a comment in the comment section, and our team will get back to you at the earliest, because we do not entertain anybody who has their personal queries via a phone call. For that, it's a paid consultation which you need to book with us. So now, till our next video for Bhutan in the month of January, which will be following up very shortly, you can subscribe to our channel or stay tuned. Stay happy, stay blessed, and stay safe.